Hey kids, it's Miss Sasha. Welcome back to art today. It's going to be an awesome day for creating. Today we're going to talk about bees and how important they are in our life, and also a very important art vocabulary word called texture. I want you to look at these bees. All these bees. These are their favorite flower. And here is some texture. We'll talk about that in a minute. The supplies you're going to need today is going to be 2 pieces of white paper and assorted crayons, including black. Now is a good time to pause your video and gather your supplies. Now that you've gathered all your supplies, it's time to get started. Put your 2 pieces of paper down in front of you along with your crayons. We're going to get our hands all warmed up and ready for drawing. I'm going to show you what to do with your hands, just like we did last week, and then we're going to count to 10 or do it 10 times so we can get ready for our art. All right? The first one we're going to do is spirals. Spirals with our little hands. We'll start small and we'll get bigger, and we'll count to 10. This is for the wind, right? Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, let's do some buzzing bee wings like this. Okay, ready? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Do you know that bees beat their wings 200 times per second? This is 1, right? They do this 200 times in 1 second. That is so fast. Okay, our next little word will be wind. Let's do wind with our hands like this. Okay, ready and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, let's do a few more. We'll do squeeze. 1, like this. 2. Okay, ready to get started? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll do one more. We'll do pinch. I don't think we've done pinch yet. Like this. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Okay, ready to count? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Shake those hands out. I think they're all ready. All right, we're going to get started on our first little piece of paper. All right, let's grab the black crayon. We're going to practice some of the skills that we're going to use when we go to draw our bee. Okay? So the first one we're going to practice again is horizontal lines. We're going to do short horizontal lines, and that's going to be for our bee's abdomen. Okay? Watch. Little horizontal lines. They go across. Okay? Go ahead and practice your horizontal lines, just like on our bee's abdomen. Okay? Give you a few minutes for that. The next line we're going to practice is going to be hump lines. This is a hump line on our bee's head and his little eyes. Okay? Watch. You can do big humps. You could do little humps. Big hump, little hump. Inside of this hump, I want you to practice doing some diagonal lines, because when we go to do our bee's eyes, we're going to add some little diagonal lines in our bee's eyes. That's going to make his compound eyes. Okay? These big giant eyes right here. Okay? Alrighty. Let's practice some skinny rectangles. Watch. Rectangle has 2 long sides and 2 short sides. You can practice them horizontally you can practice them vertically. Little skinny rectangles or thin rectangles. That'll be for his little segmented legs. Okay, they're all a bunch of little rectangles. Those can be kind of hard. So just remember, do a little line at the top, a little line at the bottom, and you can connect them to make skinny little rectangles. Okay? On the end of some of those rectangles, I want you to put a tiny little triangle. That'll be for his little tiny feet or the ends of his legs. Look, look. We're just practicing, so you can put them on the top and the bottom if you would like. Little tiny triangles. Okay? All right. Before we move on, we're going to talk about the word texture. Does anybody know what the word texture means? It's kind of a weird word. Texture. Texture is the way something feels. So if you were to feel your shirt and maybe the top of your desk, you'll notice that those two things feel differently. One might feel cool and smooth, and the other one might feel rough and bumpy. Your hair might feel silky, whereas maybe the paper feels maybe hard. I'm not sure. How does your paper feel? So when you draw, you have to draw things to make it appear like it has texture or that it feels differently. Kind of like this little paper over here. They do different lines in order to make it look differently. Like, let's see, this one looks like leaves, this might look pointy, this might look like wood. So if we were going to make something look, say, hairy, like a bee, let's see, you could do a square, and then you could make your square look hairy by adding little, tiny, crazy lines all in there. That might make it appear to have the texture of being soft and furry, right? If you were going to make something look sharp or pointy, you might put a bunch of zigzag lines on your paper, and that might make it look pointy or sharp, right? We made our eye because our eye has lots of tiny little eyes. It's got a compound eye. Just by adding those diagonal lines, we made it look like it has a bunch of tiny little eyes in there. Okay? If you do something with a wavy line, that might make it feel soft or puffy, right? Right? So what kind of line could you make, or what kind of texture would you like to practice on an empty spot in your on your practice paper? Oh, I know a good one. A fish is very scaly. So in order for my fish to look scaly, I'll pretend like this is a little fish. I'll add to it. I might put a bunch of little curved lines on my paper to make it look scaly, right? There. So you can practice some different textures on your paper by doing different kinds of lines, okay? I'll give you a few little minutes here. You can also look over here. Maybe look around your classroom. Sometimes your desks look like they're wood, but they're not really wood. They just appear to be wood by the picture that someone took and put on your desk, okay? So, there you go. Practice those textures. All right, it's time to get started. Put your practice paper underneath your other paper and grab your black crayon. We're going to draw a bee step by step. Don't go ahead of me. All right, it's very detailed, but I know you can do it. I wouldn't give you anything I didn't think you could do. All right, here's my black crayon. I want you to find the very middle of your paper and put a little tiny polka dot in the middle, just a little dot in the middle of your paper. Bees are insects. Insects have 3 body parts. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. So we're going to draw each separate part, all right? We're going to start right here with the center. We're going to draw a horizontal line. We practiced that earlier, all right? So I want you to draw a horizontal line. It's not going to go from side to side. It's just in the middle of our paper, okay? Make sure it's not too short because that's going to decide the size of your bee. And we want our bees to be big like our paper, okay? All right, everyone has a little horizontal line in the middle of their paper? Perfect. All right, we are going to draw at the very bottom of our paper, in the middle. I want you to put another little dot down there, okay? We're going to make his abdomen first. We're going to curve our lines all the way to the bottom. It's going to make the bee's abdomen, okay? Watch me. I'm going to curve down to the bottom and back up. It's kind of like a triangle, only we're making it a little bit rounder. All right, I'm going to go over it again. It's okay if it's not perfect. Look. Whoops. I'm okay. All righty. We're going to make stripes, just like on his bee's back, right over here on the little abdomen. Okay? I want you to go ahead and make a few stripes. We're going to make a little pattern. Okay? So don't put too many. I'll give you a few minutes to do that, or a few seconds to do that. When you're all ready, we're going to color every other stripe black. Okay, that's going to make our pattern. Okay, I'm going to start at the top one. Watch. Do I color this one? No. How about this one? Yes, right now our pattern's going to be black, white, black, white, black, white, black. Okay? Black, white, black, white, black. Okay? Every other one, we're making a pattern. Okay? One more. One more for me. You might have more, and that's okay. All right, I'm going to give you a little minute to go to color your abdomen, your pattern, black, white, black, white. Don't get out your yellow yet. We're going to do that later, okay? The next thing we're going to draw is going to be his thorax. That's the middle of his body. That's this part right here, okay? Alrighty. I want you to go up a little bit higher than this top line right here and make another little dot right here, okay? After you have that dot, maybe we'll make a little line here. Okay, and let's go on down. There's his abdomen. We're not going to make this striped, you see? His abdomen, his thorax is not striped. Okay? And here's our hump line that we practiced earlier, right? It's not just a tiny little hump. Look how big his bee head is. It's nice and big. Look, okay? It's not big like that. It's not tiny. Look, it goes up and around like a little hump line. Okay? That's his head. Bees have 3 parts: head, thorax, abdomen. All insects have 3 body parts. All right, on the top of his little head right here, we're going to put his eyes. Remember, his eyes are compound eyes. Actually, bees have 5 eyes. They have the 2 on the side, and then they have 3 in the middle of their head. I did not know that. Look, here's a hump line, and here's a hump line, one on each side. It looks like bubbles almost, but they're 2 hump lines. Remember, we practiced doing little diagonal lines that crisscrossed? Watch. They're very close together. Very close. That makes his compound eyes. We know that he has 3 other little eyes right here. You could do a little bump right there if you want to make it clear that he has those extra eyes over there. 2 large compound eyes, 3 in the middle. Okay. The next step, oh, his antennas. His antennas, or people might call them his feelers. That's what this is right here. Those feelers are really important. They're important for air motion, heat, vibration, sound, sensing touch. They're mainly used for smell and taste, right? That's how they find where their food is, or their pollen and nectar is, right? So they kind of curve up. Look, curve and curve. Okay, I made mine nice and dark. You can go over yours again if you'd like. Okay, really important part of the bee. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on is going to be our, oh, you know what, let's go ahead and color in his head first. That part is dark. That's important. Go ahead, color in your head. While you're coloring your head, I'll let you know that beehives have over 50,000 bees in them, right? And they are fabulous flyers. They can fly 15 miles an hour. And I told you they can beat their wings 200 times per second. That's really, really fast. Too fast for your eyes to even see, right? And remember, they have a really serious sense of smell. They can tell flowers apart. So they can tell the difference between a rose and maybe a begonia, or a petunia and a lavender flower, right? And they can see the different colors. They're very attracted to color and smell, right? Okay, let's add his wings first, and then we'll work on his little legs. You see on his thorax right here, this middle part that's big and white? I want you to make a straight line or horizontal line that goes almost to the edge on both sides, okay? Almost to the edge on both sides. Slightly diagonal, right? It's a little slanted. All right, now I want you to make a little line that goes down on both sides. They're symmetrical. Remember, they're the same on both sides. So we're going to try to get them as same as possible. On your thorax over here, I want you to find the middle of your thorax and put a little tiny line so you know where to go to. Okay? Bee wings are made out of a material called chitin. It's like what your little fingernails are made out of, right? So they're very thin. Look, they're very see-through, but they're super duper strong. So just like our fingernails are see-through just like these little wings are, right? Chitin is what it's called. All right, we're going to connect those two lines. We're going to connect the end of the wing to that little line that you put there. That's like your little marker. Look. Okay. Now they have 4 wings. They have 2 sets. 2 here and 2 right below. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but look at this one right there. See? Alrighty. So we're going to make our second set of wings. Not all the way at the end, but do another little line, just like this line, but put one below it on both sides. Okay? You see the bottom part of your thorax? We're going to connect it there. Watch. Okay. Alrighty. In our little wings, we can go ahead and do a little design in there. That kind of shows the texture of his wings, right? And I did mine in black and I colored in with blue so it would kind of represent clear or see-through. So all I did was put a few little curved lines with the black inside of my wings. all 4 of my little wings. Go ahead and add your texture, okay? While you're doing that, I'll give you a few more little bee facts, okay? Go ahead and add the texture to your wings, all right? Some other texture that we're going to add is going to be the hair to our bee's body. Look at this bee. He's so hairy, right? And so they have 3 million hairs on their tiny little bodies. Each hair is put in a specific spot so it can carry the pollen to different flowers. So the hair collects the pollen. Can you imagine that tiny little bee has 3 million hairs? That is a lot. So in order for our bee to look hairy, we practice this, our texture. Go ahead and add some little hair on his thorax, okay? You can add it into the white parts of your abdomen also. We're making him look like he's hairy, even though it's a flat piece of paper, right? I'll let you get all caught up with your texture on your wings and your texture on your bee's thorax and abdomen. We're still working with black. We're going to add his legs. They have 6 jointed legs. That means they're in different little segments, and it makes their legs a little bit more movable, okay? Whenever you're all done with your texture, keep a hold of your black crayon. We're going to add his 6 legs. Okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Remember, if you don't have hair all over his body, it's okay. All right, let's go ahead and add his first set of legs at the top, okay? It's right above your wings. It's not really on his head, but it's right above on his thorax, right? So do a long, skinny rectangle on both sides. We'll do 2 little segments and a tiny triangle, okay? There's one. He's like, ah! And a little rectangle on each side. He's like super happy. And that little triangle. Awesome. All right. The next 2 sets are going to go on his abdomen. Okay, none on his thorax. That's where his wings are. So right below his wings, I want you to do another long and skinny rectangle on both sides of your bee. What do you think is next? A little rectangle. Look, this is little segments, remember? And the last part of that leg is a little triangle. He needs 6 legs though. We're missing 2. We have 2 more to do right below here. First thing we add is a little rectangle on both sides. A littler one. And a little triangle. Perfect. We are all done with our black. Go ahead and put your black away. All right, let's get our yellow. Let's go ahead and color in his thorax and his abdomen and those white spaces. Remember, we're changing our pattern. It's okay if it blends in with your hair on your bee's body. Go ahead and color in that yellow. Bees live in colonies. They have 3 different little groups, or their colonies are also hives, right? They have a queen bee, they have worker bees, and they have drones. 3 different parts to their little community, right? We've talked about communities before. All right, go ahead and get your blue. Remember, I did blue so our wings looked like they were clear or see-through, kind of like our fingernails, remember? And I just colored them nice and lightly. Color in your wings, all nice and light. The queen bee is the most important part in the old hive, right? If the queen bee dies, then they have to pick a new queen bee, and they have to give her some special honey. It's called the royal jelly, right? That's so that she can become the suitable queen. They have to give her special honey in there. Color those wings. Perfect. When you get your wings all colored in, you can go ahead and put your blue down. I'll give you a second to do that. The worker bees are the female bees. They're the ones that go and look for food. They're the ones that keep the hive nice and clean. They're the ones that you see flying around. Whereas the drones are the male bees. They don't have stingers. They get kicked out of the hive in the winter time whenever the other bees are trying to survive. Go ahead and get your brown, and you can color all your little segments in, your little leg segments. Keep coloring them in. The queen bee, she lives for like 5 years. She runs the hive. She lays all the eggs that are going to be the next generation of bees, and she controls the behavior of the colony. That means she sets the stage, right? So if she's in a bad mood, probably all the rest of the bees are in a bad mood. So she has to check herself sometimes, right? The worker bees only live for like 5 or 6 weeks. That's only like a month and a half. So they have a lot of work to do, right? How are your little segmented legs coming? How's your bee look? I love drawing these bees. So guess what? Bees are amazing dancers. That's how they share their information. They come back to their hive and they do the waggle dance. And that's just letting everybody know where the best source of food is. So the worker bee will return and they do a little figure eight. A figure eight's like a number, right? And that lets the other bees in the colony know which way to fly so they can get all the good food, right? Awesome. So on my background here, I just drew some little honeycombs. I kind of put them together. You can just do them in different shapes. Look. I did them with the brown. You can do them in different shapes. You can color them in with yellow. Like a honeycomb. Look. See? I just did a few in my corners. And then I went ahead and colored my background whatever color you want. I picked purple. I picked purple because lavender is their favorite kind of flower along with bluebells. So they love some good lavender. So today was super awesome. We learned all about the bees. We also learned about the word texture, which is the way something feels. Make sure to plant some bee-friendly flowers around your neighborhood or around your house, in your community. Bees love nectar-full plants like lavender and bluebells, like I said before. And bees are super important. So let's make sure we're good to our bees. Thanks for creating with me, and we'll see you next week.